with professional sports, you got to get them young. So like I'm watching guys who are competing at this insane level. I'm like, wow, that dude must have been training for years. I wonder how old he is. He's like 21. I'm like, okay, fuck me. Like,
Yeah.
all right,
It
young
puts
man,
into
sit down.
it puts into perspective for me like what a genetic thing it is too. Like these are people that and it's conditioning, it's both. Like these are people who
Yeah,
probably started at like 10 and now there are professionals at 20, and that's a decade. It takes a decade to become a master, and you can
yeah,
be a master at 10 at 20. Maybe
yeah.
not at 10 unless you're Conor McGregor punching your way out of the womb.
All right. So give me your belts and just punches the switch. Where's me bottle? He's still got the tat. He's still doing that little swagger walk he does, but he's just like tiny little baby McGregor.
This isn't proper 12, mommy.
It's just Mama, give me proper 12.
No. Wow.
Conor McGregor, if you're listening, we love you. It's all
Yeah.
a good fun. It's all a
Conor
good fun,
McGregor, come on the Pretty Neat podcast.
right?
Oh shit, Dom. It's time for the Pretty Neat podcast.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. Yeah. What would it take to make a fan like you listen to a man like me talk about UFC? I don't know. Let's ask my friend Dom. He'll find out who won in the weekend scrum. MMA, I think you're pretty neat, but I respect your distance. Get away from my feet. Ryan Hall, why'd you gotta fall in an Amanari roll right into my balls? It's the Pretty Neat podcast with Dominic and Aaron. Yeah. Hope you don't mind this awful rap. It's bad. It might be, but that's okay, cause I spend all day talking about MMA. Okay. Calm down, try to keep your liquor down. John Jones, kill you with the ground and pound. BJ Penn used to be the prodigy. Dom and Aaron, now we are the progeny. If you wanna go, I'll recommend a show. I suggest Anakin Flow. It's the Pretty Neat podcast with Dominic and Aaron. I want to, speaking of taking the money, do you like my shirt?
Oh, I do. That's a pretty neat shirt you got on there, bud.
Yeah, prettyneatpodcast.com, where you can buy merch. And for those of you who don't know, Brandon Mohawk Williams, who is joining me today as a guest host.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah, you designed our logos, our characters' logos. I love them so much.
I'm so happy. Like it's one of those things. Like as like a freelance artist, I take commissions and stuff. I'm always nervous when I send somebody something, like especially if it's somebody I know, like me and you. We've been friends since like I was maybe 20, I think, when we first met.
Yeah, we were down there.
But yeah, with somebody that you respect and you're friends with, I think that level of nervousness is even higher when you send something. Like, please, I hope you like this thing that I made you. And then like when you get the positive feedback, you're like, oh my god, I'm so happy. So I'm glad you guys like enjoy it. I love you guys throwing it all over the place. Like it warms my heart knowing that like I did something that you guys enjoy, and that your newfound listeners are appreciating, I hope, as well.
Yeah, man. We absolutely loved them as soon as we got them. And I think that I'm not sure, because like we made, okay, well, let's backtrack a little bit. We all have known each other for like 10 years, Dom, Brandon, and I, but I've known Brandon longer. And one of the reasons that we're talking on this platform is because both of us have worked together in the social sphere many, many times. We've done stand-up together. We played music in a band together. We've played video game tournaments in public together. We have taught classes in public together. Like, it's just one of those things where we have done all of these things in public together. So being able to exchange on a forum like this is so huge and beneficial to me. So like I completely got lost in where I was going with that, but I mean it's just one of those things where it it's hard getting up and with people and getting out there.
Yeah. I've found that like the older I get, the harder it is to like interact with people. Like just like either through, you know, social media or in person. Like people get busy and they do stuff. It's why like, you know, like it's no surprise like I'm a nerd. I know I love games like D&D. I don't think I've ever finished a D&D campaign because as an adult, you just never have time to meet up with
Yeah.
anybody. It's like,
Hmm.
oh yeah, we could meet up every Monday. It's like, cool, cool, cool. And then it goes well for like maybe 2, 3 weeks, and then everyone's like, oh, I can't make it this week. It's like this is the beginning of the end. And then
Yeah.
everybody's gone.
Constant vigilance, constant vigilance. That's why I'm so happy you joined me, because Dominic and I really are focusing on consistency, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And he had something that he could not get away from this weekend. So you have to, family first. I remembered
Yeah.
why I was going into our history and our past,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's gone again already.
Just
Oh my God.
off it goes.
Dude, that's my brain. It's because it's Monday. We record on Mondays. Um, oh, it was because, and we also produced videos together and wrote scripts together.
We
And
did.
you talk about being nervous when you hand over the logo designs to us and or the graphics to us, because we're gonna get a whole bunch of things from you, I'm sure, from now in and in the future.
Oh yeah.
Every time we worked on a video project together and I edited it, if it was my turn, I was so nervous showing it for the first time.
Mm.
So nervous, and only to my friends, especially the people that participated in it.
Right? It's like what's weird about it is like with that kind of thing, like when you're in that kind of industry, whether it be just make like content creation or indie filmmaking, you what you want is to appeal to, you know, a crowd. You want a bunch of strangers to come in and critique and consume your content. But the people that are the closest to you, who, you know, aren't going to judge you harshly because, you know, they love you, they're your friends, are the people you're the most nervous about sharing that content with. It's like, hey, do you like this thing? No, I'm just kidding, it's stupid, it's dumb, goodbye forever. I gotta go, I'm just kidding.
It's so true. And like, okay, I'm gonna bring this down because we're the podcast of the friends who kind of always bring the subject back to MMA.
Mhm.
So imagine that's like a fighter, because like you are doing all of your camp and doing everything to hopefully double your pay,
Yeah.
like, and maybe it's in front of your hometown crowd. So like a fighter for weeks is getting ready for this type of thing, and they're going to go out and perform with a partner that they may or may not have ever practiced with before, and all of that is on the line. And I feel like, man, I hope my friends like my video.
Right, it's one of those things where you kind of look is like comparing like what we do to fighters, like fighters have so much more thing, like they're literally putting their bodies on the line.
Hmm.
And I'm sure like every fighter gets nervous, you know, but
Hmm.
you know there's clearly way more on the line for them than there is for, you know,
Hmm.
silly content creators.
Yeah,
Like
completely.
yeah, we're just like, oh God, I hope that people like my stupid thing that I made. I put a lot of work into it. Please don't be too mean to me.
And like you trained jujitsu. Uh,
I trained Muay Thai. Was actually my I did train in jiu-jitsu, but Muay Thai was my biggest
yeah.
discipline. Like
Did
that's
you
the one I trained the most.
did you compete ever? I don't recall you competing. You trained.
I did not. I okay. So here's
And there's
and I
nothing against that. You have to
yeah.
have a weird misfire in your brain, not in a bad way. You
Oh,
just have to have.
you do have to have a little something, like you have to at least have a screw loose to want to voluntarily get punched in the face. Is
Mhm.
it takes a certain kind of person to be like, yeah, this is what I want to do 5 to 6 days a week. Like, okay. But I never got to compete. And I always feel like I'm that old dude, or like some old sports movie guy is like, I could have been a contender. But I was getting close to my first amateur fight. I'd done like 2 like expositions before, and that's basically just when like your training camp or your gym comes out, and if you're on the fight team, they basically have you do it's a little heavier than sparring, but it's not a full-fledged fight. Like, you're not trying to
Okay.
knock anybody out. And I did a couple of those,
Yeah.
but I was getting close to getting my first amateur fight. My coach was getting me ready. He thought I was I was at that point in my training, my conditioning, like I was going to be able to compete, and I ended up having my left hip just gave out on me. It was in the middle of training. I think we were doing heavy bag drills.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I
and
remember this.
yeah, and my hip just gave out. Like, it felt like it came out of the socket. And I just and it was right after landing a roundhouse. So like I'm drilling on the back, and even though I'm right-handed, I fight southpaw. I can switch to orthodox, but I prefer southpaw. So I was kicking with my left hip. As I hit the bag, I think, yeah, like the joint kind of like came out a little bit, and then I stepped back down and just collapsed. It was like Weidman like broke his leg.
Except if it happened at your hip.
Because you don't know, and in the moment, like the adrenaline's going, you're in the middle of doing something. So it's not until you put pressure on it do you know that, like, oh, I have injured myself. So I go down. I'm like, what the fuck? My coach and my teammates come over, and they're just like, you okay? I was like, gosh, like my hip is just killing me. And like it didn't like pop out, but it was just like kind of raised. So my coach and a couple of my teammates like kind of held on to me, and they basically just kind of pulled my leg. And it hurt, but it was back in, and I could walk. But I just never really like recovered. And then it came to find out that it's actually it's a hereditary thing, because my mom ended up having to have hip surgery on both her hips. My aunt had to do it, to where the cartilage in our hip joints just kind of goes away. And so it's basically just bone on bone in there. Like I've to freak people out, like, I was like, oh yeah, just take a listen to it. Like, I can rotate my left hip, and it just sounds like a cement mixer. It's just it's bad.
Insert
so yeah, after
cement
that, it's like,
mixer sound here.
yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
like
your
after
hip.
that, yeah, there's really no way to train with one leg. You can't. And if I had tried to compete, it could have gotten a lot worse. So I was like, this sucks, but yeah, I'm not gonna be able to keep fighting. So I left that gym. Like, and I loved them. They were like the one of the best Muay Thai training like I've ever gotten. But yeah, that's
That was with
Brandon's tragic
Vinny
history.
Magalhaes, right?
No. He showed up at our gym a couple times. He was friends with, I want to say, my Muay Thai coach or his brother, who's the boxing coach. So he'd showed up. Like, I got to see him a few times, but I think he trains out of Quest.
Yeah, he
Quest?
might. Now it's Henderson's gym, I think. I'm not sure if it's Quest anymore. But
Oh
man,
yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
You talked about being the old sports guy. We're the middle-aged sports guys.
Right. That's the thing that it bums me out. Like I'm not that old. I mean, I just turned 34, but with professional sports, you got to get them young. So like, I'm watching guys who are competing at this insane level. I'm like, wow, that dude must have been training for years. I wonder how old he is. He's like 21. I'm like, okay, fuck me. Like, all right. Young man, sit down.
It puts into perspective for me, like, what a genetic thing it is too. Like, these are people that, and it's conditioning, it's both. Like, these are people who probably started at like 10 and now there are professionals at 20, and that's a decade. It takes a decade to become a master, and you can be a master at 20. Maybe not at 10, unless you're Conor McGregor punching your way out of the womb.
Right. So give me your belts, and just punches the switch. Where's me bottle? He's still got the tat. He's still doing that little swagger walk he does, but he's just like tiny little baby McGregor.
This isn't proper 12, mommy.
Mama, give me proper 12.
No. Wow.
Conor McGregor, if you're listening, we love you. It's all good fun.
Conor McGregor, come on the Pretty Neat podcast.
Right. No, that was the craziest thing because I've always liked sports. Like right now, like it's the basketball playoffs. I'm watching the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, like even though I'm not the biggest Lakers fan, I still I respect LeBron and what he does. But like I was like, oh man, yeah, Lakers got knocked out round one, and it just got me kind of like looking and thinking. I was like, how old is LeBron James? He's only 2 years older than me. I'm like, oh, so what have I done with my life, huh? Like, where am I at?
Yeah, and that puts him at my age. So I'm like, hey, same thing. Talking about LeBron James. That's where it puts me.
It kind of makes you a little hopeful. It's like, well, if he can do it at 36, maybe I could come back and get.
Yeah. As long as you're willing to put in the work, at least something to be expected. Something.
Right.
Yeah. There were some things that were expected this past weekend. If you want to chat about UFC Fight Night, Rozenstruik versus Sakai.
Thank you again, Pretty Neat Podcast, for getting me to subscribe to ESPN Plus. I was able to watch it.
That's dope.
I liked. What did you feel like? How did you like the card? First of all,
I really enjoyed it. I managed to watch the entire thing, and the main card was where it was at. Montella De La Rosa reminded me of post Holly Holm Rousey at first. Like she just kind of, every time she got hit, it was a huge opportunity, and she won in good fashion. But it was just kind of like, oh no. And Dominic and I have talked about how like we always like root for her, but she always kind of lets us down. But really though, the whole night there were just fucking eye pokes. The whole night.
I know Joe Rogan was like rolling over. He's not dead, but he's just rolling over because that's his biggest pet peeve. And I forgot who was it that had that really, really bad eye poke, and they ended up having to call the fight. I cannot remember who that was, but that one was gnarly. And I was watching that with my girlfriend, and she was like, "Holy shit, that was bad!" Because they played it in slow motion, and it's unintentional. You hate when shit like that happens, but oof, it was. Ugh. They gotta do something with the gloves. We've been saying it for years.
Who do you think is the worst eye poke offender in the UFC or even in the past? Because I mean, I'm just gonna jump out and say Jones and DC, like either one of them.
Yeah, if there was like a fight bonus for worst pokes in the eye, they would definitely have it. I think so. And it's funny because as we were watching that one, I was actually trying to think of who it was, but there was an eye poke years ago that was super, super bad. And I think the two, like the guy hadn't like cut his nails, which is just hygienically gross.
Yeah.
But he had got him and like had cut his eyelid. It was so bad. And yeah, it was the same thing that had stopped the fight. And like,
yeah,
it's what's crazy is like they have MMA grappling gloves that are like, they're essentially mittens that you can still use like to make submissions. I don't know why they haven't switched to that. These fingerless ones, clearly aren't cutting it because and it's always to like gauge distance or try to catch somebody's fist or a strike. But they always like they go in with these open fingers. And
Trevor Whitman had those gloves that are spectacular. I remember seeing them on Joe Rogan, and I mean, I hit a bag, and I would engage in some light sparring with friends and stuff out here. That's the extent that my little pussy willow brain can handle. uh but like some gloves, and I hit with MMA gloves sometimes, and something like what he was showing I think would be really 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 great. And like Leon Edwards, who's fighting on the upcoming card, his last fight was ended because of an eye poke against Bilal Muhammad, who's also fighting on this upcoming card. And they're not fighting each other, they're not having a rematch. um and it's just close the fingers and start taking the
Right.
points. You know what? If Dana White isn't going to change the gloves, then fuck up the scorecards. Fuck them
Yeah.
up even more. Make it happen. Let the referees start docking points every 2 times it happens,
Right.
and
Like
start watching John Jones lose every time he goes to decision because he gets docked every round for fucking eye pokes.
he poked people in the eye so goddamn much he lost the fight. This is the way. How did I lose? I thought like I was dominated. He's like, yeah, but you poked him in the eye like 19 times, bud. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And it's a thing too. Like, as somebody who trained in MMA, like because again, my main discipline was Muay Thai, and in Muay Thai that's something that we kind of do is like you throw a jab out there, or you throw a palm, so your fist isn't fully clenched, but it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of just like a loose fist that you're supposed to be doing, like almost like if you're like a paw,
Sure.
like yeah, you do something
Yeah.
like that. That's fine. You can still get distance and you don't poke anybody in the eye. It's
Oh,
just it's so easy. Don't do it.
okay. Would you rather fight somebody that you could easily beat, but they're allowed to poke you in the eye, or
Oh
somebody that
God.
you could very have a big trouble fighting, but you have poked them in the eye? They are
I
suffering from eye poke.
how hard of an eye poke do I get? Like
Both fingers. We're talking like Moe and Curly. You went, you jammed, you went for it.
you know what? I will take me being the eye poker because
Wow.
I feel not that I'm that confident in my striking or as like I'm some accomplished martial artist, but I feel if they can't see me, I stand a pretty good chance. I could be like really quiet and they'll just be like, "Where are you?" And I could just be like, "Haha!" Like pepper in my shots and run away. Is it
You
is it
are
a
fast enough.
right? Is it a strategy that's the most honorable? No, but it works, and you can't be mad at
Now, Dom is listening to this right now. At least Dom is listening to this right now going, no, he can't. No, he
that.
wouldn't. He wouldn't have a fucking chance because these are professional athletes. And you know what? Here's the thing. Dom is bigger than you.
Oh yeah, a
And
lot.
if somebody if you might be able to jump around the cage and get away. I believe that. You are spry. I believe you'd probably fight at probably what, bantamweight or flyweight?
When I was training, trying to get ready for a fight, I was fighting at 145. I tried really hard to do 155. Like I tried to fight
You
at
want.
lightweight. The funny
Mm-hmm.
thing is, because like I'm a natural 145, or like I don't have to do anything, it was
Huh.
really hard to stay at that weight. Like my calorie intake was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And once I got to 155, I felt slow. Like I just felt slower,
Yeah.
and it wasn't. It's not how I wanted to fight. It's not the weight class that I thought I would be the best in. So I went to 145, because at 145 I don't have to do anything. Like people hated me. Like I could eat any junk food I want. Like we'd
Yeah.
be finished with training, everyone's eating salads, and I was like, I'm gonna get a pastrami sandwich
Yeah.
and an extra large fry and a milkshake.
And
Like, what the fuck, man?
you were made out of marble as a featherweight too.
Oh my god, I miss being in that. Like that was the best shape I was ever in. Like people used to hate me in the gym because I had crazy good conditioning. I just didn't get tired.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to make weight. I could just walk around at 145, so I got to spend less time doing weight training and more time just running drills, going over techniques, learning new skills. And also at the time, I mean, even still now, still smoke cigarettes. And people are like, how do you never get tired? I'm like, ooh, I do a lot of cardio. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I would literally like my coach would always shake his head too. I would have a cigarette in the parking lot on my way into the gym. He would smell it on me. He's like, "Did you literally just smoke?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, we're gonna train, right? I was like, "Yeah." I and like we would start doing drills, and I was keeping up with everybody. I never got tired. When we were every week when we had sparring, like we would do like this round robin thing. I was always the last one. I was like, "Yeah, I'll take in somebody else. Let's go, let's keep going." It was ridiculous. With all
That
that's why I think I would be able to win if they can't see me. If they can't
but they'd
see
be able
me,
to smell you.
if yeah, they could smell me. But that's the trick. I like waft
Oh, that's a good idea.
see, so they think I'm over there. Bam, right
Yeah.
behind you.
That's all you got to do is make sure it's in a smoking allowed room. That's all. Just make sure you're fighting in a smoking allowed arena.
Right, yeah, some super seedy like ballroom or like some King of the Cage kind of shit. Like it's like if it
Hell
smells like
yeah.
smoke, I'm invisible now. They'll never find me.
Saboba Casino parking lot.
Exactly.
Official sponsor of the Pretty Neat podcast, the Saboba parking lot. And the fights that happen there. Oh
Where
shit.
MMA dreams go to die.
Yeah. Yeah, let's go back to the eye pokes. I wanted to the only fight that I really wanted to bring that up about was Mason Jones. And I mean, I know that you didn't catch this fight because I think it was pretty early, but just ended in a no contest because of an eye poke. And Mason Jones just looked really, really good before he accidentally poked the other guy in the eye. So it's kind of terrible when it happens to the person winning who accidentally pokes the other person in the eye. I feel
Yeah.
for both people. Like even when Leon Edwards and Bilal happened, I could tell that he was genuinely like fearful that he might have hurt his career and stuff.
Yeah. And again, it's unfortunate because it's not like he did it. It wasn't a malicious poke. He wasn't just like, "Yaha, I got you, bitch." It was just one of those things. He was reaching for him, and yeah, he got poked in the eye really, really, really bad. And I think like yeah, because they called it because they brought the meds over, and he just said like, "I just
Mm-hmm.
can't see," right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is enough to do it. I mean, I'm for protecting the fighter and for fair play before I am my own entertainment.
Mhm.
I guess a level of intoxication does get me to a point where my entertainment is what comes first. But
I've definitely been there.
yeah, it takes the wrong environment and the to be there. Like there's some bars that we used to go to watch fights, which
Mhm.
once you have ESPN, unofficial sponsor of the Pretty Neat podcast, you don't have to go to all the bars and do all that crap.
Yeah,
And
you can
like,
just do it from the safety of your home, and you can
mm-hmm,
yell at the TV as loud as you want, and nobody throws anything at you.
yes, exactly. And it's funny though too because this whole podcast kind of started because we didn't have the bar to go to, and like all my friends who I talk MMA with live in another state. So is the whole podcast started because we wanted to talk MMA and we figured we might as well record it.
Right?
Yeah. So
From humble
couple
beginnings.
yeah, a couple other fights that I wanted to mention. One of the other earlier fights too, a women's fight, Manon Fiorot versus
I
Tabitha Ricci.
I got to see that one.
Oh,
That was one of the. I didn't get to catch all of the preliminary card, but I
mm-hmm.
did get to see that fight, and man,
She's a contender at least to be in the picture. She
mm,
was technique. Mwah, mwah.
with the what were they calling her? It was like Fist of Fury or something like that.
Yes, yes,
Or like
yes.
change your nickname. That is brilliant.
Mm-hmm. And like it was interesting to watch the fight, even though she won and she won dominantly because the other I'm choking on my own words. Tabitha Ricci is an expert on closing distance because she's smaller. So for
Mhm.
a while, it was actually pretty interesting because she would get in there, and when they were in close, she looked better off. Uh,
Yeah,
but she was just too easy to push away. She was just too
yeah.
easy to push away.
You guys make the joke all the time. It's all about respecting that person's distance,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the thing with fighting is like reach can like it can be your greatest weapon or your worst nightmare, no matter whether it's you have the reach advantage or the disadvantage. It's all about how you capitalize on that. Like I have pretty long arms for short dude. Like I'm 5'7", but I got super long noodly arms.
Yeah.
So it's very hard for me to wear suits. But like if it fits in the arm, it doesn't fit in the waist, or vice versa. But yeah, that thing of like, okay, you having the reach advantage does not necessarily mean an advantage. Sometimes if somebody's able to get in close, force you to stuff your punches, that advantage is now nothing, and you can't do anything with it. Or if you're able to capitalize on your reach, that's when you can keep somebody at range. You can set up your kicks, set up takedowns. And yeah, it was a really fun fight, because that was absolutely like Tabitha Ricci, and I always butcher her last name. Firo, is that?
I go with Fowell.
Firo.
I just kind of pretend I'm a cat.
But yeah, it was really fun watching those two try to use reach for their advantage. It was a fun fight, but yeah, it ended up being that's all I'm gonna hear now. I can't. That's in my brain forever. But yeah, good. It was a good fight. She did.
The goal of the Pretty Neat podcast is to get into your brain forever.
It's there. I can't unthink it.
Great. That's what we go for. Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez won his fight against Dusko Todorovic, and he came in after only 2 weeks. 2 weeks he was in LFA and he won the middleweight title. Yeah. 2 weeks ago.
That boy is mean. And props to Dusko too, because it's not like he's a slouch, but man, that RoboCop, I hate your nickname. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Right?
It's you know what? To each their own. Maybe RoboCop is his favorite film. I don't know. It's all right in my opinion. It's pretty bad after the second one, but no, he looked like a beast out there.
He really, really did. I don't know if he's because like it's always weird. Champs from other orgs, I never know if they come to the UFC, is it always immediate title shot, or is like I think the wall is pretty high at UFC. I mean, he looked like a really, really great middleweight, not like almost contender, but he was the champ.
Right. I think it's fair to always be a little skeptical. Like I'm that way too with anybody who's coming from a different organization and then going into the UFC, because sometimes and not with everybody, but we have seen that it's a whole different league. You can be a champion in whatever promotion you fight for, and then you come over to the UFC and you might just get stomped. And it happens. Some people and obviously we have people like Dominic Cruz, people who used to fight for Bellator or even Strike Force or Pride back in the day. Sometimes they are able to make that transition. They come over to the UFC and
Chandler,
Michael Chandler, they do a great job. Sometimes that's not the case. They'll come over and
Ben Askren.
or even and not that he's a bad fighter, but kind of look like a Benson Henderson. He started off as Strike Force, and he had a great start to his career, and then he just kind of started to peter off. Now that could just be that the competition is always getting more and more brutal and improving, but he had all the makings to be a long running champion, and it just kind of petered off. He started losing more and more, and maybe it was a thing it's different competition from when Strike Force was a thing. Maybe, and I think it's safe to say that the UFC is probably one of the most, if not the most dominating promotion in mixed martial arts,
Mm-hmm.
and it might be difficult for some people to make that transition over. Like they just can't,
Yeah.
they can't hang.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's 100% true. It is the lights. Having done stand up before, like
Mhm.
you and I both have done stand up in a cigar lounge with two old farts, in the corner telling us to shut the fuck up. And
Yeah.
then we've done stand up in a room with 100 people or more than 100 people. And it is different. Now, usually
Mhm.
when we're in that room with 100 people, it's way better and the energy fuels you but we're not necessarily competing, so like it's so interesting to see that. I don't think I could ever do a comedy competition just because I don't think competition like that is in my blood, but yeah.
It takes a different kind of person to want to compete on that level. Yeah,
Hmm.
like it's funny that yeah, you mentioned like the lights and the pressure. Sometimes that does get to certain people. They'll
Yeah.
like, and some people can perform with it. Like they love that kind of pressure. Like they love the attention. They love you know the roar of the crowd. Like they use that to feel and they perform better. And some people crack under it. Like some,
Yeah.
I think I think that's a different kind of training you kind of have to go through, and you're not, and it's something you can really train for. Like you can't like go to the gym and say like, "Hey, coach, can you get like 1,000 people in here, and then we could spar? That way, I know what it's like." Like you just have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of just doing it, how are you, dude?
Super hungover, crazy hungover, but I'm
Dude,
good. I'm good.
game night live, that's what it does to people.
Oh yeah, it's all about getting wicked fucked up, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm dying.
How long has it been since the last live show? Because this is the first one since COVID, right?
Yeah, it's literally been like a year because the last one we did before the lockdown happened was sometime in March, I want to say, and
Hmm.
then we tried to come back that like last June, but it wasn't good, and then everything like fucking spiked. I ended up catching COVID, and
Yeah.
we're like, oh well, maybe not. And so we decided we would hold off and wait and see how things got better, and then eventually, the vaccine came out. We're like, okay, thank God, we can come back out. It's safe.
Yeah. Yeah, man. The whole house caught it, didn't they?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was everybody except for Jen. She's the only one who didn't get anything, and I don't know how that's possible, but I mean, I make the joke all the time. She's got elf blood. Like it's ridiculous.
Okay, so in a super duper fight against her, you'd want to be a vampire.
Yeah, essentially.
Got it. Got it. Cool.
You just drain her blood and then you get all her fucking powers. It's like a weird, fucked up Highlander.
Shit, dude. Man.
Literally for this podcast, I was like, fuck it, I'll drop the $60. I got ESPN Plus. So I watched a bunch of the fights and like the new Ultimate Fighters coming out. So I'm like, oh, I can watch that too.
You mean to tell me that the Pretty Neat podcast got someone to
Yes. ESPN.
pay money to ESPN
Right?
Plus? Where the fuck is Disney?
Disney is now, or well, not now, but should be the official sponsor of the Pretty Neat podcast. We legitimately get people to buy ESPN Plus. So, where's our money?
I'll give a free plug to Anchor. We use Anchor for our podcast hosting, and it's been pretty awesome. They're
Nice.
I won't even say it's a free plug. They're like hosting our shit. The least I can do is be like, Anchor is pretty good. Go to Anchor and put your podcast up there.
There you go.
Um,
Anchor, give my friends money.
I want to know what Game Night Live was like coming back because you transitioned to online media like
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah. Once the pandemic happened, we completely had to pivot and figure out like, all right, well, what do we do to keep people engaged? What do we do to stay relevant? So yeah, we went everything on Twitch. And it what's funny is like when we first started it, because nobody knew how long this pandemic was going to last. We're like,
Yeah.
yeah, it'll just be a quick little thing, and everything will be back to normal in a month or so. And then as time went on, we saw, all right, this might have to be a permanent thing. So it just kind of kept evolving from there. So like we
Hmm.
kept growing the channel. People, keep tuning in for some fucking reason. Every week, people come watch me and Adams like tell dick jokes and play video games badly.
That is what Twitch is. That's the tagline: video games and dick jokes.
Like, I mean, I guess it's video games, dick jokes, and like I guess hot tubs now is like a thing. It's like a whole category of hot tubs. So I guess I
Which
need to
will
break
you
into that.
choose? The video game, the hot tub, or the dick joke? I want all three.
Right?
That's
But
what you tune into Game Night for, or the Pretty Neat podcast.
exactly. It's the dick jokes and the hot tubs. But yeah, we transitioned over to Twitch, and people still cared about us. And then once we were able to actually do the live show, it was awesome. Like we try to keep it a small tournament, so it was just a full 16 participants, but
Yeah.
people showed up, and everybody, like literally everybody who showed up who was vaccinated, was like they were hugging everyone. The crowd was loving the energy. There was new people who had never been to game night before. They were having fun. Like it was
Wow.
awesome. It was so awesome.
Did the new people who come because of Twitch, or did they just come because they wanted to come all over you?
Both. I think a lot of it, yeah, it was Twitch. And I know the Shamrock, they were doing their own kind of promotions too, just
Oh,
getting people
nice.
in the bar. But yeah, we were there, and one of the bartenders was even saying like, yeah, this is the busiest we've seen it on a Sunday night in a long time.
Ah,
'Cause, before the pandemic, like Sunday nights, that was like our thing. We were there every Sunday, every Wednesday,
yeah.
and you know, it was just the routine. And like once we left, like there was a void, and it's not like they didn't have anything going on, but they definitely missed us, and we missed being there. So it was cool just to be able to see everybody, and
Yeah.
it was a blast. It was a blast.
I cannot wait for the opportunity to get out to a game night. And what is the Twitch handle? Because you guys are still going to do stuff, and obviously we want it on the podcast. The
Oh yeah,
10
yeah.
people want to know.
Yeah, if you want to find us, it's twitch.tv/it's game night, all one word, all lowercase, because it's the closest I could get to just game night, because obviously game night is it's not a special thing that I came up with. So there's a lot of tags, but yeah, if anytime you guys want to check it out, we're there Tuesdays, Thursdays for sure. It's gonna probably have to be Wednesdays now, because for Sundays, we don't want to take away from the live show, so we need to be there, pay attention, make sure everybody's like having fun and playing in the tournament. So we aren't
Hmm.
going to be streaming on Sundays anymore, but we should be streaming in the middle of the week, going
Very
forward.
cool. Yeah, the meme stream is like one of the funniest like we shows that it's like it's a show. I watch your show, and it's a weekly thing for me. It is therapeutic.
Yeah, that's what's it's funny you mentioned. That's what we were kind of trying to do. Like, because again, like we love video games, but me and Adam can admit we're not very good at them.
Hmm.
And a lot of what we like about Twitch and what we like about doing it is mostly just like, yeah, engaging with people, having fun. So the meme stream, yeah, we turned into it's essentially just a live podcast. Like the only bummer is like with the terms of service with Twitch, the audio gets taken off, on our on demand. But
Hmm.
during the live, like when we're live, you can just watch it and have fun, because we play stupid clips from like TikTok and YouTube and stuff like that.
It's so much fun. And like the Pretty Neat podcast, whether it be myself or Dominic, is streaming on Twitch. Today was the first day we just got on because we were bored, and it's the Pretty Neat podcast, all one word. And
Nice.
uh we're gonna stream like some UFC 4, some stuff like that. We'll probably get on there and chat with people. But aside from going on there and streaming like UFC just gameplay, we're gonna do like Sims and stuff. I want I want to simulate the upcoming card and put it on legendary mode and up the damage a little bit so it's a tiny bit more realistic.
Nice.
But yeah, it works pretty well. So we'll definitely hang out on online land For
Oh
sure.
yeah, and you know us. We'll definitely shout you out anytime you guys are live. I'll add you to the links for our Twitch friends.
Well, shit, I'm gonna have to put my personal one on there too, because I just I'm gonna self promote my own Twitch, which is Rekrudna, which is REKREWDNAH. That's Rekrudna. Um, and at Rekrudna on Twitter, Rekrudna, that's me. And I'm probably gonna start with some N64 games. Actually,
Ooh,
I just got a good
classic.
emulator and made some cool overlays, and I feel pretty confident that it'll be pretty fun. And
Would you
I
say it's going to be pretty neat?
I would
Ah.
say it's gonna be pretty neat. It's gonna be a good time, and that one I'll do more funny stuff, and also started doing some writing stuff, and we're gonna be streaming that on Twitch too, um, helping writers overcome writer's block.
I will definitely have to tune in for that because I've had, to be fair, we finally wrapped on this like little short film we've been working on, but
Hmm.
I need some motivation. Your boy's been stuck in a writer's block for a little bit now.
Yeah. So, well, the Pretty Neat podcast will be on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 p.m. Central, right now, and then I am going to be streaming on Tuesdays and Thursdays with the writer's block, which is the writer's block, and it's all one word, but block with a Q instead of a C.
Super
CK.
cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be. We're gonna do a couple things with it. I'm excited to share.
I
Um,
can't wait to see it, man.
were you guys just doing Smash on Wednesdays and Sundays? You were doing Mortal Kombat for a while too.
We on Wednesdays we were giving Mortal Kombat a shot. Um, it
Hmm.
it it didn't bring in the same crowd that Smash did on Sundays, but it got there. We I think like the biggest tournament we had for Mortal Kombat I think was maybe 12, which it's nothing to shake a stick at, but it was still it was decent. But yeah, Smash is like our bread and butter. Like that's how we started, and it just kept fucking growing. It was crazy. Like I don't know if I've ever told this story live, but
Uh-huh.
literally the inception of game night, how it started was me and Adam went to the Shamrock on a Sunday. It was kind of dead. We were just kind of hanging out, and they just had I can't even remember which Mortal Kombat it was, but that's some older Mortal Kombat sitting on the projector, and nobody was really playing it. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Man, it would be sick if they had Smash Brothers on there. So we talked to the bar manager. I was like, hey, you guys ever thought about doing like Smash? We're like, oh, well, we don't have the console, so no. I was like, well, could I bring mine? He's like, yeah, if you want to. And so literally it started as like I was just like stoked that I was going to be able to play video games in a bar on a big projector. Like it wasn't going to be a big thing, but I started telling friends about it. It's like, yeah, dude, you should come. We're going to all play Smash Brothers. And then somebody had the ideas like, oh, well, dude, if we get a bunch of people, you should set up like a tournament. We can make like a tournament out of it. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, all right. And that just started kind of spreading. People just kept hearing about it, thinking it was like this big tournament. And then I started getting like DMs and text messages that people's like, oh, how do I sign up for your tournament? I'm like, who is this? Like I thought this was just a thing for me and my friends. I mean, sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just how it started. And so that Sunday we show up, bar manager's like, are all these people here to play the Smash Brothers game? It's like, yeah, I guess so. It's like, huh, all right.
Great.
And he's like, I like this. And yeah, the rest is history. They were like, hey, like we'll pay you to keep coming back every week if you can keep bringing numbers like this. I'm like, I'll do my best. And it is what it is now. Like it's a
Yeah.
full blown like company. I have an LLC. Like,
Yeah.
it all started from me and my buddy at a bar. I was like, that'd be cool.
Game night is so much fun, and being in Austin, you for the viewers, I'm from where Brandon is between LA and San Diego, right? And there's a lot to do and nothing to do at the same time. And
Yeah.
Austin is the same. I know of bars that have game tournaments and comedy nights and UFC fights.
Mhm.
But there's none there. There's one for everybody. That's kind of the thing, is that the Geeks Who Drink is kind of the big one out here, but there's also Master Pancake, which is more like Mystery Science Theater. Because like I know people that will rent movie theaters for the UFC fights here, or they'll rent a theater to make fun of the movie and invite a crowd and sell tickets and stuff. Um, and like game night is just one of those things where if there's a bar, there is somebody who will pay you to do it because there is a crowd here for that for sure. So if you ever come visit, we will go bar hopping, if only to see what places would be the shit.
Right. Let's okay. Go check out the competition.
Yeah.
Out in Texas. Like, okay, yeah, we could do this. We'll take this place over.
Hey, you give me your business plan when the Pretty Neat podcast doesn't work out anymore. I'm just gonna ask you to franchise, man. I'm dead serious. You give me your plan, your call sheet, your email links, your calendar setup, and I am in. It's game night is Pretty Neat.
Right. I would love that. That's the dream. Like, like I don't give a shit if people are like, well, you're just gonna sell out and franchise. Yes, I would. You should absolutely do that. If you
Exactly.
get an opportunity to sell out, oh my god, it's the first thing.
Yes. Somebody's offering you money. You take it. You take the money. I want to skip a fight. And
I think I know the one you want to skip.
Yeah. Well, I want
to. This one, there was definitely a fight on there that I was not super thrilled to watch.
Yeah, I think it's funny because that I think is the one I'm gonna skip too. Delidse versus Staropoli maybe was like really weird, and it was boring, and it was very boring. And like, and the thing is that it was a light heavyweight who dropped to middleweight and a welterweight moving up to middleweight. Mm-hmm. So it was a really big, strong grappling expert against a smaller striker. And it was just like, fuck it, we need a fight. These two.
Like they threw darts at a board and it landed on these two fighters. Like, yeah, this should be fine. But yeah, it was legitimately boring. And I typically I don't like to say that about fights because, like, how many times have, like, back in the day, we've been to the bar and the crowd, both at the event and and the people in the bar watching, like, start booing when it's two guys who are just like grappling on the ground. I hate that because it's like, well, if you've never done this, you don't know what it takes to to grapple. Like, you're every single muscle in your body is engaged. Like, it takes a lot to keep somebody down. That's a lot of energy that it takes to cut off somebody's movement and impose your will on somebody. I don't think that's boring. I think that's technical. This fight was boring because he wasn't doing anything. And Ms. Ping and the commentators, they were even saying it during the fight. He wasn't trying to advance his position. He wasn't trying to take him down. He literally was just giving him a real long back hug for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like,
and like Laureano even said, "Stop hugging me, man." Like at one point.
Yeah, they were talking to each other.
Yeah, and like that's the thing too, is that like they both like lost fans in my opinion, because Roman, like, watch me hug someone for 15 minutes. No thanks. I prefer Pornhub. Laureano Staropoli though didn't have an answer. So anybody that's going to fight him now is going to do that. So if he doesn't get his elbows going and his escapes going, I'm just not interested in seeing what comes up with them. I was kind of surprised, even though it's a fight night, like, but main card, like,
right?
How did I just? I don't know how that happened. Like, if one of them had a highlight reel, maybe I'd have to go back and watch. But
right, it was a thing that. And it was really tough. I was even talking to my girlfriend about it. On the one hand, like, yeah, that was a super boring fight to watch. But to Roman's credit, though, he did do like he won, and there wasn't really a thing that Staropoli could do about it.
Yeah.
Like it was like GSP back in his heyday. GSP was one of those dudes where like some people with like would say he was boring because he wasn't like a super effective striker. Like he wouldn't knock people out, but he would impose his will. And people are like, oh well, all he does is just take people down. Like he'll just go for a double leg and then kind of like lay on them and you know a little bit of ground and pound. It's like, yeah, that's super annoying. Do something about it then. If you can't do anything, that like that does speak to how competitive and how good that other person is. Is it fun to watch? No. But again, at the same time, like it's like, well, do something though. Like really, you have to do something about it. Now, I think Staropoli could have definitely done more. Absolutely. I feel like, throw in some elbows, try to spin around. At one point, he did try to get him in a guillotine. He tried a little bit, but I feel like he could have done way more than he did because a lot of it was he was just holding on to Roman's hands, and that's not gonna do anything.
Yeah, like, it was a multiple choice test, and he picked the wrong answer. And like he can argue why his answer was right or why, well, it was Roman's fault for not making it a fun fight or whatever. It's like, no, like you still marked the wrong answer, like, and you lost the fight as a result, and probably lost some viewers as a result. I didn't turn it off though, because I did want to watch the other events for sure, but I definitely took care of some taxes and pretty much anything else I could find to do that would provide some sort of entertainment during that one.
I was trying to watch it, but both me and my girlfriend, we were on our phones. I was like, oh yeah, let me see what's going on Twitter. That's funny.
That's how you know it's a winner, when you're like, okay, what's MMA Twitter doing? But now that I've skipped it, I do want to go back to Ponzinibbio's fight, which was probably fight of the year, or at least one of the candidates. I mean, the second to last punch launched Baza's mouthpiece into the commentary booth.
Right, like that one. It is the polar opposite of Staropoli. That was a super exciting fight. Like there honestly there were moments, especially towards the end, it almost felt like watching Griffin Bonner again. Like
it did.
It was crazy. And like I credit to both fighters. I kind of felt like Miguel Baeza, I think is how you say it. I always fuck that up too.
No, but I think it's Baeza.
I thought he absolutely was dominating in terms of like control, especially in that first round. The first round was his, no question. But and those leg kicks, man. I'm as a Muay Thai guy, I love seeing some good leg kicks. I love watching somebody just get shot to pieces with some really good roundhouses and some low kicks. Oh, it was so nice.
Yeah.
But that fight was fun. That was a lot of fun. Like the whole time me and my girlfriend were watching it, we were just like, oh shit. Oh my God.
Yeah. It was. I love when it turns into Rock'em Sock'em, especially when both guys are landing. Like when it's not just wild haymakers, they are both throwing targeted shots and they're both hitting their marks. It was a who's tougher match.
It really was.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Not to mention Miguel Baeza has Caramel Thunder as a nickname, and I think that Caramel Thunder might be my new nickname.
You're going from Super Caramel Bear to Caramel Thunder. I love it.
I'm okay with that. Or a Super Caramel Bear or Super Caramel Thunder Bear.
Yeah, Super Caramel Thunder Bear. I like it. That'll be the next shirt I design for you guys. I'll have to come up with something that says Super Caramel Thunder Bear, and I will make that for you.
Oh my gosh, that I will change every single picture I have to Super Caramel Thunder Bear. You have no idea. He's like holding lightning bolts. He's going Super Saiyan. Like I just see it. I totally see it. Super Saiyan. I will say Tybura. Marcin Tybura went a little Super Saiyan a little.
Yeah.
He lost the first round, or he was losing, I should say, because it ended in the very end of the first round.
Yeah, no, that was Harris.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a pretty quick fight for Harris, and then the chin that he had, because I thought he was out. Honestly, Whew. I thought he was done. I was like, oh well. So like that was cool. Like on to the next fight, I guess. But he took it on the chin like a fucking champ and came back to win it. I did not see that coming. I really didn't. I was like, what the fuck?
I didn't either. And I support Walt Harris and I support Marcin Tybura as well. But I mean, that kind of went how people thought it was going to go. Even though I think Walt Harris might have been I think he was the underdog, but not that big of an underdog. But he was going to win in the first 3 minutes, or he wasn't going to win. He gasses a little bit too much, or he gets lost as the fight goes on. Whereas some fighters gain ground, he always tends to find that he loses it as the fight goes. And not to any shame on Walt, I think that he'll be a really strong weight who with 3 or 4 wins puts himself right in the back in the title picture, no problem. But
yeah. And I know that was something like he was working on, trying to improve his cardio and all that. So I really thought like, okay, yeah, maybe he's gonna shut up a lot of the people who were questioning him in that first round, because like he looked really good until he didn't look good.
Once he was on the ground, he was stuck there.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to what we were saying, like people who are able to impose their will and just goes like, well, this is where you are going to be now. And yeah, like Tybura was able to put him away. And again, like I love seeing like shit like that. I know you like Dom says it a lot right here on the Pretty Deep podcast. But like that, the obsession with like greatness. I'm the same way. Like I love seeing people who are able to just do whatever they want when it comes to any kind of sport. Like I want to do this, and they're so good at it, there is nothing that their opponents can do about it. And it's
so impressive.
It's crazy. It's insane to me that somebody could, like, if somebody wanted to, like, if Marcin Tybura came up to me and said, I'm going to make you lay on your back and you're not going to be able to do anything about it, he could. And it's not just because I'm a smaller dude. I'm 145. Even if I was his same size,
he could do it to me.
Yeah, he was like, "You're gonna stay here." It's like, "Yes, sir. I guess this is where I live now."
Yeah,
like it's fucking crazy. Like me and Adam we're talking about it the other day. Like the people who are at a position now where they're the champion or a winning team. And right now with the UFC, the two most undeniably talented people are John Jones and Amanda Nunes. And those are two people who they can do whatever they want, and there's nothing anybody can do about it.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me is that like nobody that we know of, unless there's somebody training up in a hyperbolic time chamber with Goku and Vegeta and all of his friends, and we just haven't seen them yet. There's nobody who can do anything, and that's insane to me. So like, because you would think it's like, everyone's got a weakness. At some point, this person will lose, and they kind of keep just not losing.
Yeah,
and that's ridiculous.
Speaking of not losing, we are going to do some picks for UFC 263, and only the main card. We won't do all of them. You are doing Dom's picks this week. I have been given the blessing of the Dom for you to take over his picks just for the main card. And but also who is not losing is Jairzinho Rozenstruik, who I should call Jairzinho Rozenstruik because he struck Sakai.
Dude, we again with the exception of the most boring fight ever, this card was really good, and that was insane. That was literally, there was a second left. There was 1 second. What? Like how? Like, and what's funny is I was talking about this with my girlfriend before this fight. Well, we were just talking about like submissions and stuff like that, and in one of the exhibitions I had done back in the day, I actually lost to a really good friend of ours, who also trained with me. He is just he's a really good wrestler. He's naturally a pretty stocky guy. So wrestling and jujitsu was always like his bread and butter. He was a decent striker, but striking has always been my thing. I know some jujitsu, I know some judo. I suck at wrestling. I try my best. I'm just really bad at it. But during that exhibition, I was winning as long as the fight was standing up. As long as we were on our feet, I was doing better. I'm a little bit faster than he is. I was a little bit more precise until he was able to get me to the ground and got me in a rear naked. And there was literally 10 seconds left. And I was doing my best. I tried to hold on. I was like, if I don't tap, I'm gonna just pass out. And I tapped with like a second left. When you're in that position, 10 seconds feels like 10 years. It's the longest time you've ever it's like fucking Interstellar. It's just time dilation. So for everybody else, it's just 10 seconds. For you, it feels you've lived 1,000 lifetimes. And in that fight, there was they hit the 10-second clapper goes off. There's 10 seconds left. All Sakai had to do was last for what us mortals could perceive was 10 seconds.
Yeah.
That is not what happened. Rozenstruik decided, nah, not today. And I bet you for Sakai, those last 10 seconds before the ref had to pull him off felt like a lifetime. It probably felt like he had grown up and seen his great grandchildren go off to college and have lives of their own, all while Rozenstruik is pummeling him in the face over and over, to the point where like not even the ref was like, I could just because he didn't have to pull him off. He theoretically could have just waited the 10 seconds. The bell would have rung. He could have then removed Rozenstruik and say, all right, back to your corners, giving Sakai maybe a chance to come back in round 2. He had seen enough as well.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't think you deserve to have this happen for another second. I'm not going to stop this. You poor sweet boy, let me come help you.
And that is exactly why they're there. Sakai showed everyone exactly why refs are there, and it is completely okay to stop the fight with seconds remaining, because then when we do handicap or super duper fight on this show, it's a joke. You don't let the fighter come back in the second round with a super duper handicapper like that.
Yeah.
You don't. You just don't. Oh, they were good fights though. It was a good round of fights.
It really was, yeah.
I'm excited for this week because we won't talk about all of the fights coming up, but I do want to just touch on them before we jump into UFC 263, which is on Saturday. Because on Thursday, if you have ESPN Plus, you can watch Professional Fighters League, and that's regular season. But Clarissa Shields is making her MMA debut, coming off of boxing, and she's an undefeated boxer. Anthony Pettis is fighting again. He's fighting Alex Martinez, who's undefeated.
I love Anthony Pettis. He's one of those guys. Like, I wouldn't say he's like one of the best in the world. He's super entertaining. He's a good fighter. Honestly, though, he's just one of those people like, I'm just happy he's around. he's there's just something about Anthony Pettis. Like, I'm glad you exist, sir. Like, no matter where he goes in his career, I'm just glad he's around. It makes me happy.
Yeah, he seems like the type of friend that you would be so happy if he showed up anywhere. You could be at your
Right?
D&D meeting, you could be playing Pokemon, you could be watching the fights, you could just be going to the casino to get fucked up and play poker. Like it doesn't matter if Tony Pettis, because we go by for that's the
Because we're
level
cool.
I'm
Like,
at.
yeah, we're that cool. We can call him
Tony
Tone.
Tone Pet, as we call him. Tone Pet and us go back from I will just watch him anytime. Like what the Showtime kick is, I mean, it's a piece of art. It's like the
It's
Mona Lisa of
legendary.
MMA. It's totally legendary. And I will watch anytime he fights because it's always fun. And he throws the best Superman punch of anyone ever. And I mean,
Right?
Stephen Thompson can attest to that.
Even when I play, like when I played any of the UFC games, I always like, I don't want to fight Anthony Pettis. I like him. Tony Tone? No, sweet boy. I don't want to fight you. Not even in a
No.
video game. We're cool. We're cool. I'm gonna skip
Yeah.
this fight. I'll give this one to you, buddy.
Yeah, so Thursday I'm gonna watch Anthony Pettis fight. I'm gonna watch, of course, the Shield fight. I'm gonna watch one of the smaller fights on the undercard, Marcin Held versus Olivier Aubin Mercier. I'm just a fan of Olivier Aubin Mercier. He's just one of those guys that's really fun to watch, really aggressive, kind of bulldoggy. I like any bulldog fighters.
Right.
Yeah, and then Bellator is on Friday. You get like a 3-day
Oh
weekend of
damn.
fights. So you get PFL on Thursday. You get Bellator 260, which is Douglas Lima versus
Who do
Yaroslav Amazov. Never heard of the second guy because I don't pay enough attention to Bellator.
I am not too ashamed to admit it's been a hot minute since I've paid attention to anything Bellator. Not to say that they don't have some good fighters and some good athletes. It's just been a while. I have not watched. So like now that I have ESPN Plus, thanks again, Pretty
Yeah.
Neat Podcast. I can maybe get back into some Bellator. I can
And
see.
Bellator is the one that doesn't stream on ESPN Plus.
Ah, damn it. Of course.
But
Boo.
PFL does. So
PFL
PFL you
does.
got on Thursday or Friday for sure. But yeah, then you had talked about being a fighter if you had one leg missing. Also on Bellator 260, Nick Newell is fighting in the undercard, and he only has one hand. So it's always interesting to see a fighter who has a biological disadvantage in a fight competing at this level. Like, and that's not a knock on him by any means, because he would murder me easily in any sort of competition. He could beat me in a two-handed thumb war, and he has one thumb. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
he would destroy me, and I have two working regular little boy hands that I
yeah,
can
you do not have reverse phantom limb syndrome.
Yeah, I did. Contrary to what you may believe, there was a documentary about it. I do actually have two arms. It's a very well filmed documentary about a guy who's got what was it, ocular flatulence?
Yeah, farting through his eyes.
Geniuses.
We're geniuses.
We were.
And since we are such geniuses, I am sure that everyone listening, on behalf of the Rough Draft Kings, needs to know our picks for UFC 263's main card.
I am happy to get it. Let me get to a beverage really quick, because I want to be able to properly articulate my thoughts on these picks. And I'm very happy that I'm allowed to do this. Thank you, Dom.
Yeah. Dom is going to be rolling over in his bed.
So pardon me as I create the sound of my people, and that is the sound of a beer opening up.
Yes, that is the sound of many a people. This is the sound of many a people who listen to the Pretty Neat podcast. This is a really good card. It has a lot of really interesting, fun ones. It has, first of all, I want to start kind of near the bottom. I love watching Chase Hooper fight because he's 10 years old. and I'll watch him fight anytime. Matt the Steamroller Frivola versus Frank Camacho.
Best nickname ever.
Seriously, Matt the Steamroller Frivola is fantastic. He looks exactly like our brother Baby Dill. He when you watch him fight, you will see it is Baby Dill. And
yeah.
It's just him, and except Baby Dill has way better cauliflower ear. because it's not quite as bad, but it's there just enough to let you know they're not fuck with him.
Yeah, exactly. It's just enough to let you know, like, I should maybe watch what I see around this guy.
I am, and I've heard about people getting fake cauliflower fear injections now. Like it's actually
That's not a
become
thing. That's a thing.
that is a thing, Brandon.
This
Just to
this
look tough. Just to
this
look
is
tough.
not real life. This
So my
cannot be real
procedure
life.
is next Tuesday. I'm gonna have cauliflower ear.
Well, I wish you a speedy recovery, my
Oh,
friend.
thanks, buddy. Yeah, Matt Frivola versus Frank Camacho is going to be a banger. Both of those guys move forward. Um, Hakeem Dawodu versus Mazvar Ovliev was another one that's just two guys who move forward. I'm excited about that. Lauren Murphy versus Jojo Calderwood. Two more, just God, there's a lot of forward movers in this one. There's just a
Yeah.
lot of forward movers.
It's like you were saying, it's those Bulldogs. I love it. I'm here for this. I'm
And
here for this content.
like Drew Dober. Drew Dober is a Bulldog's name. I would name my Bulldog Dober or Drew, and I would name it Drew Dober.
Right? Yeah, Drew Dober is not a people name. That's a dog's name. that's for and it's for one of those, yeah, like those fucking super muscly, like a pit bull or a bulldog. And they have their arms all kind of cocked out. It's like, I'm like, I'm Drew Dober.
And he looks like the stereotypical jock in any Pixar movie. Like
I almost put up my beard. That was brava, sir.
Everyone look up a picture of Drew Dober. But hey, Drew Dober, we are huge fans of yours. Come on the Pretty Neat Podcast.
Yeah, come on the Pretty Neat Podcast. I maybe swing by It's Game Night on Twitch. Just come by, chat, say hi.
Yeah, let us know what you think about our insults about your name if you want to consider them insults.
It's all a good fun. I'm sure it's not your fault that you look like a Disney Pixar villain. And I'm sure if you were one, you'd be really entertaining. Like like the kids would hate you because you're kidnapping the princess or whatever, but you would have. It's the performance that's what matters, and you would make an impact.
Yeah, 100%. All right, that takes us into the main card, though. So the first fight on the main card that we're gonna pick is Paul Craig versus Jamal Hill. Jamal Hill's undefeated at 8-0. Paul Craig is 14-4-1. I'm gonna look up the fight odds here, just so we can see what Odds Shark is saying about this one. But do you have any initial thoughts? I'm not too familiar with either of these guys.
I'm really not either. So I'm just and because I'm looking at the consensus here.
Yeah, Jamal Hill is a -300 favorite over Paul Craig's +240. So he's a pretty significant favorite.
Right. I'm okay. Here's my pick. This is kind of not kind of. It's very, very, very biased. I'm gonna say Jamal Hill, and this is the bias. He's a southpaw, and as a fellow southpaw, I have to root for my fellow southpaws. Like we're all a team here, team Weird Fighters, team Goofy Foot.
And you know what though, I am when it comes to two guys like Paul Craig and Jamal Hill who both strike. I am for the southpaw in that situation because of the jab.
The jab, and if you have any kind of kickboxing background at all, like there is a huge advantage when it comes to your kicks because you can use your jab. You've got that leg kick available for you, and if you cut your angle properly, bam, you can get a good roundhouse right to the bread box. You get them right in the abdomen, and that'll drop some people. Yeah, and the way I even found out that I was southpaw, because like when I first started martial arts when I was a little kid, I just assumed I'm right-handed, so that's how I'm supposed to stay. I'm supposed to stand orthodox. It wasn't until years later that a coach of mine noticed that the same thing, like how I was balancing with my weight, how I like threw in torques for like punches, kicks. You're like, hey, have you ever tried fighting southpaw? I was like, no, not really, because I'm not left-handed. Why would I ever fight southpaw? I was like, give it a shot. So I switched my stance, and he had me throw a couple of combinations. Like, how does that feel? It's like, that actually feels a lot better. He's like, yeah. So from then on, I started training predominantly southpaws, and then getting to a point where I could switch, so I could switch it up. And people who are able to fight both ways, it could be a lot of trouble for some people, because you think about how you train. You're training against other people who are also orthodox. So that's how you're drilling. That's how you're throwing your hits to the pads. That's how you're doing it for focus mitts, for the heavy bag and sparring. When somebody doesn't do that, it is a little weird. And now you do have the advantage too of like, you can circle a different way, and you can circle left or circle right depending on which way they're coming at you.
Yeah.
It's hard to get that into your head if you're not used to fighting against somebody who's a southpaw.
Well, I think that I'm picking Jamal as well. We're both picking him, and I think he has an advantage being the southpaw. He has an advantage in reach. He's undefeated, so I mean that's good for him. And not that that will add. I don't think being undefeated really adds something to a game, but I mean it can give you some motivation. How do you think he gets it done?
If I was going to throw out a call, I think if he doesn't win by a TKO, I think it could be a unanimous decision. He just, if he's able to,
which one you picking? Because you gotta pick.
I gotta pick. Oh no! No!
I'll tell you. I'm gonna go Jamal round 2, KO TKO. I think that he's gonna catch him. I think he's gonna catch him in round 2.
You know what? I'm gonna go with you. I know that seems like it's cheating, but it feels right. I believe that as well. Round 2, either KO or TKO.
All good. We got that one. Next fight, Damian Maia. Oh gosh.
Who I have not seen him fight in a little bit.
Yeah, Damian Maia, and I'll just say in my own belief, is gonna get put out in round 1 by Bilal Muhammad. Bilal, remember the name Muhammad. I will say that is what I'm saying. Damian, he's old. He's old.
He's old. We were talking about us being old. He is old. I remember Damian Maia in the heyday. I don't think and I feel bad saying this. Damian Maia, come on the Pretty P podcast or watch us on It's Game Night at Twitch. But I think he doesn't have it anymore. I know. If he is not finished in at least the second round, I can, if he's able to go the distance, I think he's gonna look really, really, really bad.
Do you think it goes the distance? I think it could. He might be crafty enough.
He could, because he's elusive. If he's able to stay out of range and move and if it's his conditioning's good enough, if he's able to get to the end of the round, I could see that happening. I could see it.
Okay.
But I do not feel he wins that. Okay. I feel like the safe bet is Muhammad finishing him in the second round. If it gets to the second round at all, I see him either TKO or submission.
Beauty.
In round 2.
You think he's gonna submit Damian Maia?
I think he could, and I know Damian Maia's got jiu-jitsu, but again, he's real old now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Damian. I'm sorry.
It's true though. There's something there with age. It is. It just, your tank is not the same. It's okay.
Your body doesn't. It just does. It doesn't recover the same way. You can't move the same way. It's one of the reasons. Like, I feel like, I know that like TRT and steroids are legal in all sports. I feel like if you're 40 You should let the old man use some steroids. He's old now. His body doesn't make it. It doesn't make testosterone the same way anymore. At 40, let the old people have their drugs.
Yeah, as long as it's not fucking up their brain, let them keep playing.
Yeah. He's like, he ain't hurt nobody. He's just old man. He's the old man. He wants to keep playing. Like, I feel like that's fair. They're like, especially if it's expertly administered by medical professionals. I think, yeah. Let old people keep fighting.
Yep. As long as they get approved, I'm for it, and give them an advantage if they need it. I am for this plan. Next fight, we've got a big one. Is Leon Edwards, who is a massive favorite, -550, -550, and Nate Diaz, +400 underdog. Nate Diaz as a +400 underdog in any fight seems like a recipe for McGregor Part 1.
So here is my thing. I respect Nate Diaz as an athlete. I have not ever, this is no secret to anybody who knows me, I despise both the Diazes, both Nate and Nick. I'm just not a fan of who they are as people. I feel like they're both very cocky. I'm never quite sure if they're still fighting or not, because the two of them tend to rage.
So true.
They kind of rage quit a lot. They kind of like, I hate this. If everybody played the game right, I would win every single time. I'm taking my ball and I'm going home. Just kidding. I'm coming back today. It's like, all right, man. Pick a lane. Either you're here or you're not. I don't really give a shit which way you go. But
Leon and they're fighting 5 rounds. They're going to fight 5 rounds, and Leon is like a master. He is an all-around MMA expert.
Right. For this one, and again, I don't like Nate Diaz, but the one thing I will have to give to both of them, they both have a chin. Like, Nate Diaz has a chin on him, Nick Diaz has a chin on him. So this one, I think Leon Edwards is going to win, but I think it's going to be by decision at the end of it. I will say unanimous though. It's not going to be a split decision.
Okay.
Because Nate Diaz, while he does have good jiu-jitsu, him and Nick both like to strike. I could see him standing there trying to trade with Edwards. I just feel like Edwards is going to outclass him. I feel like he's a overall more rounded and better fighter than Nate Diaz, but I don't think he's necessarily going to be able to put him away. I would love to see him put him away. That would be amazing. But I can see this one going unanimous all 5 rounds.
All 5 unanimous decision.
Yes.
Got it.
That is my pick.
Am in a similar boat where Nate can get hit and it's okay, as I feel like he's gonna take some damage like he always does. He always gets cut, and that's gonna happen, and that, I think that's the most likely way the fight ends in like undeniable complete victory for Leon. Like, I could see him winning a unanimous decision for sure, like you just said. I could see him winning by a cut even sooner. I am, very strangely enough, going to pick Nate, and I'm going to pick him for 5th round submission.
Interesting.
And the reason is I think it has been a long time since we've seen a Nate submission. I mean, it's been since Conor McGregor. But I mean, he is a ground guy, and people forget that because he's such a big paycheck, almost like a boxer. And like, I'm not that saying that Leon's going to forget that that he's an expert on the ground, but I feel like it's going to be 5 rounds, and Nate is not going to go down, and he's not going to back down. And if it goes to the ground, which I think Leon might take it there just because he gets tired, then we might end up seeing Nate come from behind with a triangle. That's what I'm seeing happening in the 5th round.
I could see that, because I think even Nate Diaz sometimes forgets that he's got a ground game, because like he likes to strike. I think he also forgets, like, oh yeah, I know jujitsu. It's like, oh wait a minute.
Yeah,
I could see it. I'm sticking with my guns on this one. I'm gonna stick with Edwards because I don't feel like he has, not to say that he doesn't have power, but I don't feel like he's got the power, excuse me, to put away Nate Diaz.
I agree.
Because as much as I hate the cocky little asshole, he's stubborn and he's got a chin, and I gotta respect him for it. I respect him, the athlete. I'm just not a fan of Nate Diaz, the person.
But he can still come on the podcast.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He should absolutely still come on the podcast for sure.
Perfect. Men's flyweight championship rematch. Deiveson Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno. Their first fight ended in a draw. Probably fight of the year. Like we mentioned,
that was such a good fight.
But that one was so good, and it's for a belt, and it ended in a draw. So this one, I am foaming at the mouth. And Deiveson Figueiredo is the favorite. He's -250 to +200. But I think we might have a new champ. That's me.
I'm with you. And it's not just because his name is also Brandon. But I feel like Brandon Moreno is gonna take this one. I think this one will also go the distance. It's gonna go 5 rounds. I think it's gonna be more of the same from what we see. I think they're both going to just absolutely try to knock each other the fuck out. Like they're gonna swing for the fences. They're gonna go for, like, they're gonna throw everything at the kitchen sink. I think that's gonna go 5 rounds, but I feel like Brandon Moreno is gonna come out on top on this one. Because I feel like, even though the last fight was a draw, I feel like he's got more to lose in this one. He doesn't want the same thing. He wants that belt. I feel like he maybe needs to. I feel like he's gonna think he needs to prove to himself that the first fight was a fluke, that he should have won that one. He's gonna make sure that he wins this one. So I'm gonna give it to Moreno.
Beauty.
Maybe split, but I feel like he just edges him out a little bit, because it's not just a physical game. This is a mental game too. I feel like mentally he wants it more. I feel like he wants it more in this one. This is the only, and that's the reason I'm going to give it to Moreno.
Yeah, I think Moreno also, and I also think by unanimous decision. I think that he was more. God, he wanted to be in there for another 5 rounds after the last one ended, and I think that Deiveson is going to come back with more of the same, and I think Brandon will have evaluated and really taken the time to study what he should do, and I think he's just going to slowly find the way to win 4 rounds. I think he's going to win 4 rounds, 3 of them very decisively. He's going to find a way.
Yeah, I feel like, especially like when you're not to say that you're more relaxed, because when you're the champ, you're obviously you've got people always coming for you. They're looking for that shot at that title. It's not to say that you're more relaxed. That's not really the word I'm looking for, but I feel like there's less pressure because you've done it already. You've done the thing that you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so now it's all just about, maintaining it and holding on to it. Not that that's an easy feat by any means, but I feel like, pressure's kind of off. And that's why I feel like he's gonna put up a good fight. But like you were saying, it's just gonna be more of the same. I feel like Brandon is hungrier.
Yeah, and he's got that youth, and like he's got the prizes he's chasing, and I like his story too. And man, he has a wicked collection of pop figurines. I gotta say, he's the nerds. Like he is the nerds champion. If he wins, he usurps anyone who might think they're the Nerds champion. Like, I would love to see Israel Adesanya and Brandon Moreno try and outgeek each other, and it
Right?
would be hilarious. Uh, good
Fan-
calls. Good calls on this one. Now we move into the main event. Another rematch of another split decision, although not a draw. Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori.
That
Eh,
one.
Hey, and last one, just so people know, Marvin Vettori lost the split decision, but thinks he won. Uh,
Mhm.
he didn't win that fight. I rewatched it, and it was scored accurately. Israel definitely won like the first 2 rounds, but Marvin Vettori held him down the entire third round. And if there was a fourth and fifth round, he might have done the same thing and won the fight. So it's very interesting to me to see this rematch because you really have somebody who might have been winning the fight, even though he didn't win the fight if
Mhm.
it had kept going. But that being said, you picked the last one first. I am choosing Israel Adesanya by round 2 KO or TKO. I think it's going to be Paulo Costa part 2. He's just going to accept the bully and catch him and TKO him.
I think TKO or KO by round 3. The
Mm-hmm.
only reason I'm saying round 3, and I'm still for Adesanya. I think he's gonna win, but I can see it going 3 rounds because Marvin Vettori does want he and because I watched that interview with poor Bisping.
Yeah.
He was having fun. He did his best to try to keep things reined in, but he like these two have some vitriol between them. Like they fucking hate each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that
Adesanya does better in that.
yeah, I that's why I feel like it's still going to be Adesanya, but I could see it maybe clouding his judgment a little bit. He might come out a little too guns blazing in maybe the first round.
Yeah.
Might start to kind of come
Yeah.
down, in the second. But I see Marvin hanging in there and really like coming to him like with everything that he's got. But at the end of the day, I feel like Adesanya is just the better fighter.
Mm-hmm.
He's the style bender for a reason. He's a he's like a young Anderson Silva. If
Yeah.
Anderson Silva also is like a super nerd,
Yeah. He's a
like,
new style bender.
yeah, he's incredibly talented, and the guy he's elusive. He's a great striker. He's the whole package. He's very well rounded, and I feel like it's hard for anybody to really like how do you train for that? Like it was the same like back with like Dominic Cruz back in the day.
Yeah.
How do you train to fight a guy who comes at these weird angles, who's unpredictable, who is not ever going to really do the same thing
Yeah.
over and over again? Like you, because you can get a training partner to kind of try to mimic somebody's style as best they can, but like you
Mm-hmm.
can't accurately train for somebody like Israel Adesanya.
Not
So
at all.
I feel like his anger and the rivalry is going to cloud his judgment a little bit, but I think he might get caught with a couple of hits that'll kind of
Mm-hmm.
wake him back, snap him back to reality,
Yeah.
and eventually I think he's going to get that finished. But
Yeah.
I think the two of them are going to they're going to go to war for at least 3 rounds.
Yeah. And Marvin Vittori could rush him and really could catch him. He has caught him before.
Mm-hmm.
And if he does, anybody can be put to sleep like that. And Israel is younger, so I can see a future where this is his come to Jesus moment, and maybe he gets laid out and reacts like Jorge Masvidal did when Kamaru laid him out, and hopefully he's just like, hey, I got caught by a hard punch. I'll bring this one back.
Yeah,
But he's so good.
we talked about it earlier. It's stupid sometimes how good people are,
Mm-hmm.
and he is one of those people where it's like it it's kind of ridiculous how good he is. Like that you
Mm-hmm.
this is like Israel Adesanya, you don't make sense. Like you are so talented. You don't make sense to me anymore. My brain doesn't know what to do when I see you do things.
My brain doesn't know what to do after this podcast every week because I'm always like, so I don't talk about MMA at all during the week with anybody until I get to talk with my pretty neat friends. And I am so happy that you got to come on this episode. And I know that Dominic, you're gonna come on with all three of us in the future for sure. And Adam too. Oh my, I love to pick Adam's brain always.
Oh yeah.
So it's one of those things where it was so good to have you on, and I look forward to having you on again. And I know that Dom's got the right picker for him with these fights because
I did him proud.
But yeah, man, I think we got our picks. We talked about the fights. We had some fun. This was a pretty neat episode. What do you think?
I think it was pretty neat as well. I had a lot of fun, and I'm really glad that you allowed me the honor of being on the podcast.
Hey, it was a privilege.
I'm no smiling Sam Elvey, but you know,
it was so good to have you on. It was good to have Sam on. It's just good to talk to our friends about MMA because it's the neatest thing around, man.
It's dare say pretty neat.
Cue the music. Oh shit, Dom. It's time for the Pretty Neat podcast.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. Yeah. What would it take to make a fan like you listen to a man like me talk about UFC? I don't know. Let's ask my friend Dom. He'll find out who won in the weekend scrum. MMA, I think you're pretty neat, but I respect your distance. Get away from my feet. Ryan Hall, why'd you gotta fall in an Aminari roll right into my balls? It's the Pretty Neat podcast with Dominic and Aaron.
Yeah.
Hope you don't mind this awful rap. It's bad. It might be, but that's okay, cause I spend all day talking about MMA. Okay. Calm down, try to keep your liquor down. John Jones, kill you with the ground and pound. BJ Penn used to be the prodigy. Dom and Aaron, now we are the progeny. If you wanna go, I'll recommend a show. I suggest Anik and Flo. It's a Pretty Neat podcast with Dominic and Aaron.
Nice. I like your the rap that you did that one time.
Oh yeah. What would it
I
take
have
to
fun
make
with
a man like you listen to a man like me talk about UFC? I'm such a dork.
So good. I loved it.
Man, yeah, I was trying to go for that rip off of Atmosphere meets Snoop Dogg. You know, Jewish black dude, Sammy Davis Jr.
There you go.
That's kind of where I'm at.